Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here at the Atlanta Voice Studios. I have the Mr. Raphael Bostic here with us today. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's really good to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. So let's talk about your role at the Federal Reserve Bank. Just tell us what you do every day.
Well, it varies. So,
Okay.
I run the Reserve Bank here. Our bank is responsible for all the things that happen in the southeastern United States. So that's Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, and Louisiana. And what I really try to do is understand what's happening in the economy, how people are experiencing the economy, and then advise my colleagues on how to do monetary policy.
Right.
And that's the main policy that we do in terms of setting interest rates. The other thing that I do is I interact with banks a lot. We're a bank regulator. We want to make sure that banks operate in a safe and sound way and that they're deploying their capital to all the people in their communities. And we do a lot to make sure that lower income and minority communities are not overlooked and that banks really do a lot there. And the third thing that we do is economic development. And so I have a team that goes out into communities, works with the leaders there in terms of elected leaders and community-based organizations to help them be more successful and to create more opportunities for their residents. And then the last thing I do is I go out and talk to people. I give speeches and try to meet people and really just give people a sense of all the things that we do to engage with communities and give them some idea about how the economy is working.
Right. So for your career overall, did you ever think that you would make it to this spot? Like this has to be like one of the top spots to be in, right?
Absolutely not. Like this was so far from anything I'd ever imagined.
Wow.
And yeah, it's a very interesting thing. I started coming out of graduate school with my PhD at the Fed in Washington, D.C. And when I left there, I was like, okay, that's it.
That's it. You're
I'm
over.
done, never to come back. And then I got an email. Someone said, you should send your resume in for this one. Like, this is a good job. You should try it.
Right.
And I did it thinking there's no chance
Right.
that I would get selected. And then they shocked me and asked me to do it. So it's been a great experience and a real opportunity to try to have our institution and people more broadly understand that the economy needs to work for everyone.
Right.
And we need to do all that we can to make that happen.
Right. In regards to making it work for everyone, there's policy making that's behind that. So you are on the Federal Open Market Committee, correct? So talk about your role there, because I feel like it may be the same thing or it may be different, but maybe our audience doesn't know the difference.
Well, the Federal Open Market Committee is really the body that gets together and figures out whether the central bank, the Fed, is going to raise interest rates, lower interest rates, or keep them the same. And then when we make that decision, that winds up impacting interest rates across the entire economy.
Right.
So when we raise interest rates, the amount of interest on a loan will go up.
Okay.
And that kind of thing. So what we try to do is really vary modulate the interest rates to keep the economy growing. And so I'm one of 12 presidents. There are 7 governors in D.C. So the 19 of us get together every 6 to 8 weeks, and we just talk about what we're seeing in the economy.
Now, when you guys meet, let me interrupt you there.
Yeah, sure.
When you guys meet, is it like, majority rules, or this person's vote trumps the other person's? Like, how does that work, Because I'm sure it's not where you guys are just having a random conversation. It's literally you have an agenda, you've got things that you've got to hit. But how do you go about making that happen?
Yeah, it's definitely not a random conversation. So we have some things so the chair in DC, Jay Powell right now, sends a note to all of us saying, at this meeting, these are the things we're going to talk about. And then we have some advanced conversations to think about, well, where are you on what we should do in terms of policy? So I talk to the chair the week before every meeting. And so by the time we get to the meeting, we kind of have a sense of what the possible is.
Right.
But then as we go through the discussions of the economy and how we should think about policy, listening to each of my colleagues and the governors in DC, it can get me to think differently.
Okay.
Like I hear things I haven't heard before. One of the things we try to do is in my statements to make sure that I talk about things that I don't think anyone else is going to say.
Understood.
So I can bring that new perspective and that fresh perspective and really cause people to have to think in real time about what the right thing to do is.
Right.
And I think that's given me and our bank and our district a pretty strong voice. People pay attention to what we're seeing and how we're talking about things. And I think it's really led to policy being appropriately established and set to try to keep the economy going at a stable level. And let me just say one other thing on this, which is, our policy is different than what the Congress does.
Okay.
In the sense that we don't have the ability to give out loans or grants or any money to particular organizations or communities or any of that kind of stuff. What we're really trying to do is set a baseline foundation for how the economy works. And hopefully if we do that well, then growth can happen in a lot of different ways, and we don't have to do anything.
Right.
We can just set that foundation and let all the entrepreneurs, the major business leaders, and all the families and consumers decide what they want to do, and not worry, is inflation running away? Is my price a week from now going to mean I can't afford things? Or is our company's going to start shuttering because it's too expensive to get inputs? We're trying to make sure that those things don't happen at the broad level. If that happens, then people can really make those long-term decisions. Should I go to college? Should I invest in a small business? Like all those sort of things. If you're worried about the future, then you're going to hold your money.
Yes, for
and
sure.
And so we don't want you to worry. Right? we want you to be able to really make those longer-term decisions and feel like it's going to be all right.